Hello and welcome. This is Graz, aka Grimtalk, and I am bringing you a video on protection paladins, also known as tankadins. I will explain some of the basics of prot paladins, while the video in the background will give you an idea of how I play my pally. So prot pally, your job is to generate and hold aggro on mobs while in a group as the DPS focuses them down. Tanking is a thankless job, but somebody has to do it. We also have a resource system now that uses holy power, which is generated by two abilities, Crusader Strike and Hammer of the Righteous. Several abilities that consume holy power are Shield of the Righteous, Inquisition, and Word of Glory, and you will want to use these abilities with 3 stacks of holy power for optimum results. Pallies don't have a lot of hit points compared to other tanking classes, but what makes up for that is our mastery. It's called Divine Bulwark, and as you stack mastery you increase the chance to block. Blocking reduces the damage you receive by 30% and scales upwards with cooldowns and when Holy Shield becomes active. Gear for your tank will come down to this. You will be looking for plate mail with mastery rating and either dodge or parry rating. That is usually the best possible gear. Plate mail with mastery and threat or 2 avoidance stats come in as second rate but are still good. They will just involve reforging the threat or the 1 avoidance stat into dodge, parry, or mastery. Threat stats are defined as hit and expertise and aren't needed as much as they were in the past. But be wary of gear with haste and crit rating, as these are DPS stats and the only value that they provide are as something to reforge to dodge, parry, or mastery. So how do you tank? Well, first and foremost, you will want to make sure Righteous Fury is active. It multiplies the threat generated by your abilities by 3. And besides, it even tells you in the tooltip, this increases your threat generation while active, making you a more effective tank. Use it! There is no excuse! And it no longer falls off after dying, so it is persistent through death. The only time it will have to be removed is when you're in a raid and the other tank has to pick up aggro, where you can simply right click it off the top. Make sure you have Devotion Ore on as well, as this will boost your armor protection. Unless you are entering a fight with lots of elemental damage, then you can use Resistance Ore if nobody in the group can add the buff. Your seal of choice will be the Seal of Truth, as it helps to hold aggro, and when you have a glyph of Seal of Truth, you will receive 10 free expertise while the seal is active, so it makes it a must-have as well. 2 other glyphs you will need are the glyphs of Hammer of Righteous and the Shield of Righteous. While picking up groups of mobs, I would recommend using the Judgment ability to pull back unless you have to pick up casters, then Avenger's Shield is best. Your rotation once engaged will be Hammer of the Righteous, Consecration, Hammer of the Righteous, Holy Wrath, Hammer of the Righteous, followed by Inquisition. Inquisition increases all your damage done, so it will help you hold aggro on the packs better, without worry of your healer pulling aggro. Basically, you will repeat this rotation, adding in Avenger's Shield and Judgment when Holy Wrath and Consecration aren't available. You will be basically using Hammer of the Righteous every other cooldown. For boss mobs and single target fights, you will basically take out Hammer of the Righteous and use Crusader Strike in its place. The rotation will look something like this: Crusader Strike, Judgment, Crusader Strike, Avenger's Shield, Crusader Strike, then Shield of the Righteous. Shield of the Righteous hits hard with 3 stacks of holy power, so it makes using Inquisition in a single target rotation a moot point. With enough aggro, you can actually sub every other Shield of the Righteous with a Word of the Glory to give your healer a bit of a relief which this acts as a bit of damage mitigation. On a boss pull, to get a head start on aggro, pop Divine Plea followed by Avenging Wrath before charging in. Your first ability will be Shield of the Righteous to get a good start. Then go with your normal rotation from there. We derive our nickname from our spec, Protection, henceforth the name Prot Paladin. I'm going to show you what my spec looks like. Now, there are many others. This is just one. Feel free to check out elitistjerks.com or the World of Warcraft forums under Paladin to see different types. I'll have those links and some others listed in the description section below, so feel free to check them out. Anytime you can learn, it's a good thing. Now, some of you may have noticed that I've switched two of my abilities around, my Crusader Strike and my Hammer of the Righteous. This is just something that works for me. I have a certain hand setting. Maybe sometimes I'll forget, or I just get gung-ho and I don't swap them around. But when that happens, I can easily just slide my hand over a couple of keys and pick up the slack right there. I can easily just drag the abilities as I fight. It's not too hard, but some people may think it's clunky. Some may say it's ineffective, but it works for me. And I've run in various different groups and haven't had a major problem with it, so until something really bad comes along, which I don't foresee happening, I'm not going to really change it much. Really, when it comes to tanking, it really comes up to how comfortable you feel with it. Your first time tanking, it might be a little bit rough, but you know, 2, 3, 4 times around, you find that it gets easier. And after a while, you realize, hey, this ain't really that bad. It's all about learning and experience, and that's the main thing when you play, whether a prot paladin, a prot warrior, or even a bear. It's just all about learning about the experience. Now, I wish I could have done this in a dungeon, but it was a long day. Dungeon groups weren't running real hot. So I figured I'd take the easy route, record during some dailies, and what the hell, we'll go from there. It doesn't exactly show you the best of run, but the main idea of the video is to give you just a bit of a hint of how I handle it, even though there's no healer or DPS around to help me out. In some ways, you can use a bit of a solo experience as a trial run to your tanking. Play around, use your rotation, get used to it. That way when you run into a dungeon, you're not scrambling around for your keys trying to figure out what the hell you're doing or where the hell this ability's at or whatnot. Once again, it comes back down to the comfort factor. You gotta be comfortable when you do this. So, maybe a little bit of planning does come in there. And speaking of which, when you're running dungeons or raids, a little bit of planning will help you a long way. Knowing a boss's abilities, learning in certain fights and what to stand in and what not to stand in, very important. You're the tank, you got to be aware of these things, because sometimes your other group members may not. And when you have DPS, whatnot, standing in the bad stuff, your group run becomes a whole lot harder than it should be. Especially if your healer has to work a little bit harder than he has. Nobody wants to work with a pissed off healer. Been there, done that as myself. Don't like it. All I can say, just a little bit of experience goes a long way. Going back to the whole gear thing, I can just really recommend you, when you're doing your dungeon run, unless you're into a real group and you can jump into heroics, I would just say grind out your gear and normals first. Make it a lot easier on yourself. Don't bust your head too much. Unless you're in a guild group who don't mind carrying you through, then it would be a little bit easier. And why not? But if you're not in a guild, or you're pretty much a lone wolf, or who the hell knows, maybe you just simply don't have time, just grind out some normals, get some badges, and eventually work your way into heroics. or if you even got some gold, buy some gear off the auction house. The epics do help. Well, actually with patch 4.2 coming out soon, it would be best to simply wait till after the patch, then grind up your justice points in order to purchase your tier 11 gear if you haven't already gotten it. That gear should make your heroic runs a little more trivial, or hell, might make them a whole lot more trivial. Why not? It's what Blizzard intended, so just go with the flow. But anyway, I digress. I'm going to lightly touch on the defensive cooldowns for a little bit. You should check out some of the links below for more information on each one. Our defensive cooldowns are Divine Protection, Divine Shield, Divine Guardian, Ardent Defender, and Guardian of Ancient Kings. Our Divine Protection is on a 1-minute cooldown, so it's on every other pack basis pretty much, and it reduces the damage we receive by 20%, so really however you feel. Divine Protection does however stack with Guardian of Ancient Kings. Now, Guardian of Ancient Kings and Divine Shield are our main cooldowns. They are pretty much the ones you'd want to use when you're about to receive a whole truckload of damage. They're basically there for that oh shit moment, so use them very carefully. Ardent Defender, kind of another situational ability. It reduces damage taken by 20%, but if you receive a kill shot while the ability is active, it can save your life. And it does stack with Guardian of Ancient Kings as well. However, Divine Protection and Ardent Defender do not stack together, so that is simply a waste of cooldown. Don't try it. Divine Guardian helps reduce damage to the group by 20% for 6 seconds. This is a talent in the prot spec that's basically situational. It really depends on your group and or raid. Basically, some need it, some don't. You really have to check to see if it's needed. I haven't had to use it. It really depends on the situation. Sometimes you won't even need it. Warriors have their own, so you can leave it at that. And speaking about leaving it at that, I leave you with this footage as I do a tanking rotation on the test dummy, showing you what exactly the single rotation would look like. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it, please thumbs up. If not, thumbs down. Constructive criticism is welcome. Trolling, not so much. I'm going to simply delete it anyway, so please don't waste your time. Don't waste my time. Because hell, all you're going to do is waste me clicking delete anyway. Do what you damn well please. I don't care. Go for it. But I hope you enjoyed it. I hope to do more videos in the near future. So with that, take care, and hopefully I will see you around.